Hello and welcome to our virtual yoga class. We'll begin class in a seated position. So go ahead and make some adjustments here as you come into your seat. Now I recommend a cross-legged position, grounding your sit bones onto the floor. And notice the process of lengthening your back is about activating your core, opening the chest, relaxing the shoulders, chin neutral. So find that long spine, that more active seating position with your chin neutral, core active. And then you'll rest your hands on your knees. And then we'll take a few breath cycles here to help center ourselves for the rest of the class. So as we take our centering breaths, you can decide of keeping your eyes closed or open. If your eyes are open, focus on one point across the view. And welcome your breath. No judgment of your breath, just notice that rise and fall of the chest, that expansion of the belly, and then begin to invite some more intentional breaths. So this is you starting to begin your practice using your breath as a focusing tool. Inhale and exhale. We also notice here that our breath is our bridge of our physical, mental, emotional bodies. We're inviting a holistic yoga practice where we aim for not just physical well-being, but mental and emotional well-being as well. Take generous breaths, noticing that type of breath that expands the belly. And I like to emphasize that though yoga looks like a very calm practice, our goal isn't calm. Our goal is to know our bodies and to notice what's arising for ourselves. You're not trying to turn away from your thoughts, you're just acknowledging them. You're cultivating the skill of observing without judgment. And that's a process of self-compassion and self-love. I recommend inhaling, exhaling, sighing it out. By sighing it out, I refer to that tension, physical, mental, emotional tension, release. Ground yourself in this moment. Notice you're cultivating awareness of that stillness, cultivating that inner spaciousness. In our yoga practice, we befriend moving slowly with our body. Therefore, supporting us in noticing this present moment and cultivating that stillness and that spaciousness. And absolutely, these can be challenging. It can be more difficult than other days. It's part of the practice, which is why we support each other in our yoga class. 3 breaths. Inhaling, belly and chest expand, and notice that release. Inhale and exhale. We'll start to invite some more intentional movement that lets us support our upper body by lifting our arms up overhead, lengthening our elbows, interlacing our fingers. Palms face up towards the ceiling. You're holding here, noticing the upper back between the shoulder blades, lengthening your arms. Stretch towards the left side of the room. Hold. This is a side body stretch here. You're grounding your sit bones onto the floor. You're not crunching your shoulders up towards your ears. You're drawing them down loosely, lengthening the arms. And then we come back to center and then opposite side. Inhale here. Exhale, come back to center. Drop your hands behind your head. We're going to swivel towards the left and towards the right, inviting a stretch here down our upper back, mid back to lower back. We're also opening around the shoulder blades. So you're twisting back and forth. You can move rhythmically pretty fast, or you can remain on one side, exploring there. I like to invite students to different approaches in exploring the same movement, just because we're seeking that physical, mental, emotional equilibrium. And then we know best if we prefer to linger in a pose or to move quickly in that pose. After a few rounds, release your hands. Hands on your knees, take a breath, inhale here, exhale, sigh it out. Continuously arriving to her breath throughout the class. Now hands softly on your knees, bring your shoulders up towards your ears, draw them back. So a few times here. Elbows are relaxed, soft, close to your torso. Shoulders lift and shoulder blades stitch closer together as you draw them down. And then after a few rounds there, release neutral shoulders, intentional breath. After that breath, you'll start to release your chin towards your chest. Just hang in here, noticing a stretch in the back of the neck. And once you've taken a breath here, start to roll your head from one shoulder to the next, either completing a half circle or a full circle. If you're doing a full circle, it means you're lifting your chin up towards the ceiling, opening your throat. Place extra attention, front of the throat, sides of the neck, back of the neck, upper back, shoulders, maybe even your mid back. Notice what's sore or feels tense. You can linger there. Breathe into any tension, physical tension here. Place attention to your shoulders. So as we move throughout our day, we might lock unconsciously around our forehead or jaw, especially neck and shoulders. Also, we're used to hovering over our phones, crunching our neck and shoulders in the car or on our computers. Take a moment here to open up. And that might mean just dropping your head back, opening the throat. And if you prefer to work on some meditation, go ahead and work on that meditation. Otherwise, just a few more breaths here. And then start to bring your head back to a neutral position. Generous breath. We inhale and exhale, arriving to this moment. Always cultivating that aspect of our practice. So a quick twist here. We're going to take our left hand over our right knee and a twist towards the right, using a grip in that knee to help you intensify that twist. And then opposite side. One more time on each side. Gathering your breath, finding that release in the lower back, mid back, upper back to your neck, and release. So we focus on the upper body, just go and focus on our lower body. We're gonna stretch our left leg out and then press our right foot right against that left thigh. Take a moment here to flex your left foot, lengthen your spine. Inhale, exhale, and then fold. Dropping your hands to thigh, shin or toes, ankle or toes. Now you're breathing into your boundary, seeing where can you fold just a little bit more, not to a point that's painful. You can either keep that left foot flexed or relax that left foot. You'll notice a different intensification of the stretch. You can invite a little micro bend to that knee. Go ahead and discover something you haven't noticed before. See if you can broaden awareness to some sort of sensation, feeling, or boundary that you just haven't noticed before. You always want to invite a sense of curiosity and learning in our practice. That's what helps us continue to grow and continue to refine. It's that constant learning. Inhale. And then exhale, release. Let's plant that right foot onto the mat. Lift our left arm out and then twist towards the right. Hold. Now I'm going to flex my left foot, lengthen my spine, shift my chin towards my shoulder. Looking behind me. And release. Now lengthen your right leg, press your left foot against your thigh, lengthen your spine, flex your right foot and fold. Optional if you want to maintain that flexed foot or relax your foot. Notice your boundaries, see if you can sense something new, learn something new, discover a new boundary, something that feels new. Inhale. And exhale. Release. Take that left foot, plant it onto the mat. Take your right arm out, lengthen your spine, flex your right foot, twist towards the left. Take your chin towards the left shoulder and hold. Inhale. Exhale. And release the pose. Let's go ahead and transition into our tabletop. Now, when you're in tabletop, your hands are directly beneath your shoulders. Knees are about hips width distance apart. Inhale into your cow pose and exhale into your cat pose. Either moving with your breath, inhaling cow, exhaling cat, or you can remain in cow or cat pose just a little bit longer with your breath. You want to release compression around the lower back, around the tailbone. In that cat pose, make sure you're tucking your chin towards your chest, releasing any tension around the neck and upper back. And then after another cat and cow pose, you're going to start to release back to a neutral tabletop position. You're still grounding through your palms. You're going to lift your left leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. It's going to stretch your hips and your quad. You're going to open up more around the glutes and lower back as well. Now, still ground through your palms. You're going to press your palms onto the mat, simultaneously round your spine, and both chin and knee move towards your chest and hover. Release, opposite side. Lift your right leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. Stretching your hip and glute and quad, lower back. Press through your palms, chin and knee move towards your chest. You're rounding your spine. Hover here. And release. Step down into a child's pose, knees close together or towards the edges of your mat. Gather your breath. Perhaps set an intention for the rest of the class. It could be a word or phrase, anything that's supporting you in finding that physical, mental, emotional balance and health. Deep belly breath here in your child's pose. Find that word or phrase. And then lift from your child's pose. Lift up into a downward facing dog. Take a moment here to breathe into the backs of your legs. Press through your palms. Lift your hips towards the ceiling. Heels are lifted as well. Watch your neck, that your neck is relaxed. And now take your gaze right between your hands. Walk or jump up to that forward fold. You're going to inhale halfway up. Exhale. Release. Inhale, sweep your arms up overhead. Lengthening the spine. Remain here in an extended mountain pose. Palms are facing each other. You're lifting your gaze up towards the ceiling. Your chest is open. Your spine is long. Now take your hands in front of your heart center. Mountain pose with hands in front of our chest. Eyes opened or closed. Inhale and exhale for the day you've had so far. Inhale and exhale for this moment. Inhale and exhale for the rest of your day. Release your hands. We're going to shift into 3 rounds of sun salutations. I'll go ahead and cue. You can always move at your own pace. Inhale, lift your arms up overhead, extending the spine. Exhale, fold down, being soft with your neck, your head. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release, step back into your plank pose. Release down towards the floor. Inhale up, upward facing dog. Tops of the feet are on the floor. Glutes engage to support you in this upward facing dog. And then exhale, down dog. Inhale, exhale. Take your gaze right between your hands. Walk or jump up to that forward fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release. Sweep your arms up overhead. Hands meet in front of your heart center. Generous breath, perhaps recalling that intention, that word or phrase you said earlier. Second sun salutation, lift your arms up overhead. Exhale, fold down all the way down to your forward fold. You're inhaling halfway up. Exhale, release, step back into plank pose. Release down towards the floor.
Inhale up into an upward facing dog, and then lift into a downward facing dog. Gather one generous breath here, perhaps exhaling, sighing it out in your downward facing dog. Then take your gaze right between your hands, walk or jump up to that forward fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release, sweep your arms up overhead, grounding through your feet. Hands in front of your heart center. Deep belly breath. Release your hands, third sun salutation, arms lift. Exhale, fold down, forward fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release, step back into your plank pose. Release down towards the floor. Inhale up into your upward facing dog. And then exhale, downward facing dog. In your down dog, lift your left leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. Now, left knee towards that left elbow, hover. Lift your leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. And now left knee towards that right elbow, hover. Lift your leg, bend your knees, stack your hips, and then release your foot back down towards the floor. Invite a deep, generous breath. And now lift your right leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. Right knee moves towards that right elbow. You're hovering here and then pressing through your palms firmly, activating your core as you lift your leg again, bend your knees, stack your hips. And now knee towards that left elbow, hover. Notice that core strength as you kick and lift that leg back up, bend your knees, stack your hips. Release your foot back down towards the floor. Invite one generous breath. And then after that breath, step down into a child's pose, knees towards the edges of your mat or knees close together. Gather your breath, arrive to your breath. Notice that through that breath, we're continuously creating that bridge of the physical, mental, emotional bodies. See if you can lengthen your inhale and exhale just a little longer than you're accustomed to. That's helpful for concentration. And then after another breath here or two, we'll start to release our child's pose, shift into a tabletop, ground our palms onto the floor. We're going to press that right palm onto the floor, lift our left arm up towards the ceiling. You want to reach that arm up and back. And then release your hand, opposite side. Lift that right arm up towards the ceiling. Release, shift up into a downward facing dog. And now take your gaze between your hands. Walk or jump up to that forward fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale. Release, sweep your arms up overhead, grounding through your heels, your toes, lifting of your arms, integrating the energy of the day down to your heart center. Eyes closed or open.
We invite a generous breath, noticing by welcoming our breath, we are welcoming our experience of ourselves, whatever that may be. Release your hands and then shift into a warrior one by taking your left foot forward and then stepping that right leg back. That left knee is at a 90-degree angle. Your hips are square towards the front. That means you're anchoring that right heel onto the floor. Let's lift our arms up overhead. You can take your gaze straight ahead. Your legs are these scissors attempting to close, but they can't. Glutes are engaged, quads are active. You're breathing from your heels and toes, base of the spine to the crown of your head, all the way up to your fingertips. This is a pose of strength and stability. Core is active, chest is open, shoulders are relaxed. Release your hands. Cup those elbows with your hands. Fold your chest just halfway, or fold hinging from the hips. So your chest is parallel to the floor. Left glute is activated and quad as well. And now start to lengthen that left knee. Drop your belly towards your thigh. You can drop your hands here towards the floor. Soften neck and head. You're breathing to your left hip, left hamstrings. Soften that torso. And now inch your hands forward, standing splits. Press through that left heel. Lift your right leg as high as you can. And when right foot meets that left foot, 3 rounds. Inhale halfway up. Inhaling up, exhaling, releasing 3rd round. Inhale halfway up. Exhale, release. Now from here, we're gonna roll up slowly. Head comes up last. Arms dangle. This is a good practice. Physically slowing down, physically releasing, letting go. We create that connection of the mental and emotional bodies as well. Fingertips stretched. Inhale and exhale. Gathering your breath, noticing by welcoming your breath, you are welcoming your experience, whatever that may be. This is a practice of care, of compassion, of self-love. Then after another breath cycle, you can release your mountain pose. And now mountain pose, opposite side, our right foot shifts forward and then our left leg steps back. Left foot in a diagonal, 90-degree bend to that right knee. Pivot your hips towards the front. You can move through these poses over and over and still learn something new. Every single time I teach a yoga class or do my own practice, I'm just aware of different parts. I'm learning different things. I come in an example of this pose, you can come into strength and stability in new ways. Try to invite a calm breath here, deep belly breath. Gaze straight ahead, keeping a steady gaze to support a steady mind. And now release your hands. Cup your forearms with your hands. Drop your chest so it's parallel to the floor. Starting to open up deeply around that right hip, right hamstring, right glute. Start to lengthen that right knee. Drop your belly towards the floor. You can drop your hands towards the floor as well. Soften neck and head.
And now start to inch your hands forward. Lift that left leg as high as you can here. Your hands are directly beneath your shoulders. Neck is soft. And now left foot meets that right foot. 3 rounds, inhale halfway up. You're inhaling up, exhaling, releasing. Inhaling up, exhaling, releasing. Inhaling up, exhaling, releasing. Your choice. Well, actually, here, let's roll up slowly. Rounding through our heels or feet, practicing that physical sensation of letting go, moving slowly with no hurry, lengthening the spine, head comes up last. You can choose to take that mountain pose, hands framing your hips, palms towards the front, or hands in front of your heart center, noticing right hand, press against left hand press against right hand. Recall that intention you said earlier in class, that word or that phrase. It's that word or phrase supporting you in your physical, mental, emotional health and balance and well-being. One sun salutation, release your hands, sealing that intention. Arms lift. Exhale, fold down, forward fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release, step back, plank pose. Release down towards the floor. Inhale up, upward facing dog. And then exhale, shift into a downward facing dog. Deep belly breath, inhale, exhale. And release your knees. Well, actually, no, we're gonna stay in our downward facing dog. Let's invite another active pose here. Let's lift our left leg, bend our knees, stack our hips. We'll go through the same sequence we did earlier. Left knee towards that left elbow. Hover here, lift your leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. And now left knee towards that right elbow. Hover, lift your leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. And then release that left foot onto the floor. Generous breath here. Lift your right leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. Right knee now towards that right elbow. Hover, activate that core strength as you press through your palms. Lift your leg again, bend your knees, stack your hips. And now right knee towards your left elbow. Hover, pressing through your palms. And then lift your leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. Release your foot back down towards the floor, generous breath. And then drop both knees onto the mat. Step back in your child's pose. Invite that intention, that word or phrase you set out at the beginning of class with. Gathering your breath, arriving to this moment, noticing that spaciousness, that stillness you've been cultivating throughout the class. And I emphasize the word cultivating. It's not some sort of automatic thing that's there. You cultivate this over a long period of time.
3 more breaths in your child's pose. Then after those 3 breaths, we'll start to shift into a tabletop. Let's protect our spine by inhaling into a cow. Exhaling into a cat pose. And we'll shift into a balance. Let's lift our right leg so it's parallel to the floor. Press that right palm firmly onto the mat. Let me make some room here. And then lift your left arm up. You can gaze straight ahead and lift it, or you can take your gaze down towards the mat. Any shaking is fine. Don't forget to breathe. And then drop that left hand onto the mat. Inhale up, cow pose. Exhale, round your spine, cat pose. And the opposite side, lift your left leg, lift your right arm. Deep belly breath, inhale. Exhale. Deep belly breath and release that right hand onto the mat and then take your knee onto the mat. Inhale up, cow pose. Exhale, round your spine, cat pose. And then we'll start to release here. Take your legs out. And take your palms up towards the ceiling. And then slowly release down towards the floor. Sorry for that interruption. Let's see. Release your head back. Palms up towards the ceiling. Sometimes my little puppy wants to join for yoga class, which is really funny when I'm on the mat. She's always looking for me. All right, so as you're laying here, you're gathering your breath. I recommend inhaling here, exhaling, sighing out. Softening neck and shoulders down the length of your spine. We'll shift into a butterfly pose. Bring both soles of the feet together. Feet gently press against each other. Be very purposeful here in softening shoulders down the spine to the hips. In this pose, we have access to full diaphragm breathing. Belly expands. This is the full breath you can go back to at any time throughout your day. Reacquaint yourself, refamiliarize yourself with that full breath. Practice softening the body as a holistic yoga class. We appreciate our bodies when it's active, but we also practice softening and relaxing our bodies. That's something that we have to activate, both for reasons like culturally, we focus on a lot of movement and doing, and also a lot of wellness and workouts tend to emphasize a lot of physical activity. It's a holistic yoga practice for seeking balance physically, mentally, emotionally. 3 more breaths here in this butterfly pose. Start to release here. Bring both soles of the feet onto the mat. Ground your palms onto the mat. We're going to lift our hips just a few inches off the floor. Release your hips back down. Now lift your hips as high as you can. Engage in your glutes, your quads. Release your hips back down to the mat. Let your feet float off the mat. Grab your knees with your hands. Round your spine, forehead towards your knee, chin towards chest. And then drop your head back. We're going to lengthen our legs, grab our feet with our hands, bend one knee more generously than the other, lengthen both legs, rock to the left, to the right. Pay attention to your ankles and heels and toes as well. We're going to get that final stretch down to the calves, hamstrings, hips, glutes, even your lower back. A few more breaths here. And then start to release your feet, your legs back down to the mat. We'll start to settle into our final resting pose of the class, our Shavasana. This is a class that supports us in integrating our practice, receiving and letting go, integrating physically, mentally, and emotionally. This is also a pose we hold the longest. It teaches us the art of slowing down, the benefit of doing nothing and of being still. Here we continue to cultivate that inner sense of spaciousness, that inner stillness. And as a reminder, sometimes this is more accessible than other times. Assess where you are now with no judgment. Shift your attention to your body, softening forehead, jaw, neck, and shoulders, areas that we subconsciously store tension. Soften down the length of your arms all the way to your palms and fingertips. Notice that our hands tend to carry so much and clench and hold. And here you're purposely softening your palms all the way to your fingertips. Notice the metaphor there. Softening our hands, letting go. And then start to release throughout the spine, upper back, mid back, lower back, to the area around your tailbone. And then soften down your hips, behind your knees, down to your ankles and toes. I recommend gathering one more intentional breath. Let's inhale here, exhale, side out. And then from here, either invite regular breathing, no control of the breath, or practice intentional breaths. Either is fine, there are benefits to both.
And then we'll start to shift our attention to our breath, inviting a generous and a leisurely inhale and exhale. You can restore some movement to your fingertips and your toes. You have the option of inviting a full body stretch, lifting your arms up overhead. You can also turn your body to the left side or right side, allowing it to remain heavy and relaxed. Once again, return to that generous and the leisurely breath. Continue to cultivate that inner spaciousness, inner stillness. There is no hurry. There is only this moment. And then after another breath or two, start to shift into a seated position, whatever is comfortable for you. Move so intentionally, slowly. Be intentional, lengthening your spine, softening your shoulders. Recall that intention you set earlier in class. And take a moment to appreciate your efforts and physical, mental, emotional well-being. We'll honor our breath, that very breath that supports us in welcoming our experience. Let's take our hands in front of our heart center. Intentional inhale here. And intentional exhale. And in the tradition of yoga, the highest in me sees the highest in you. May we walk with each other in gratitude.